We're getting ready for the Niagara Falls Canadian Chevette Meet. But got a little bit of a running issue here. So if you look down in the front end, see that nut in there? I don't know if you're gonna spot it, but right around there where the tip of my finger is, that's the throttle shaft, and we got some pretty wicked play in it. So I think we got a vacuum leak on that carb, and the car does not like idling right now. It wants to sputter and stall, and until it's warmed up, it doesn't run very good. So carburetor, rebuild, replace. I was fortunate enough to get my hands on a brand new carburetor, never once used, never installed in the car. So we're gonna yank this guy off carefully, get everything set aside, and then snap on a new one. I also grabbed a couple vacuum lines I had floating around, just to be sure I'm not missing anything. These ones kind of feel iffy, so I got one for the vacuum advance on the distributor. We're gonna change that up, and yeah, there's a couple small jumpers there that we're gonna change out, but nothing too crazy. And I got my little helper with me today, so we're gonna burn through this project and see if we can't get this running a little bit better. I grabbed the timing light too, because maybe once it's running better, maybe we can crank that timing back up and get a little bit more out of it. Nothing too wild and crazy, but it's always nice if it pushes a little harder. So let's tear it open. I think we got a couple of mounting nuts to take out, and then assorted fuel line and choke and throttle linkage. Nothing too wild and crazy.
Yep.
Get started with the fuel line first. Hey, don't block the view. Gonna try to crack this open. I've had this open before.
Yep. And Dad has my help.
Sure do. It's spinning off from the filter. I guess I gotta get a wrench on that.
The camera first?
No, I'm trying to take this fuel line off of here.
I'm sure I can help.
What's that?
I'm sure I can help.
It's a little tricky, this part, because it's a little bit stuck. There we go. Freed up. Okay. Let's see. I think we're down to just the mounting, and yeah. And then the PCV valve. Okay, let's get the mounting nuts off. What do I need? A 1/2 inch? Sure. Nice. This socket does not really have the best choices in there. Valve. This carb's gonna pop loose now without killing my gasket. Okay. Sounds okay. Feels okay. Put this throttle cable up and out of the way. Alright. There's a bit of fuel in there. I'm gonna go dump that safely and dispose of it. Alright, I went and I found a new top gasket there for the carb from one of the other cars. That one didn't look like it was in the best shape, starting to get some rust on it. This one's still clean. The screws are still good, so I'm gonna reuse this here. It should get me a decent seal. Not that it matters much, it's just for the air cleaner side. Forgot I had the camera out for a second. I just set so I reused my original carb gasket. I've just been putting the nuts down finger tight there, getting everything set up. There's a couple of things that are a little bit different on this particular carb from the old one, and I don't know yet what they're doing. Yeah, what they're supposed to be doing. My carb did not have that third port up high, and it was plugged, no hole there, so I think that's going to end up just getting a cap in it and be a plugged line. And this particular module here did not have a port for a vacuum line. Might have had an open hole though, so I'll have to experiment with it and see. I'm thinking that's related, pardon me, related to the choke. That's what it looks like, but time will tell. And there's an extra throttle spring. Not sure if it's because this was an automatic car originally, if maybe the manual cars didn't have that second throttle spring here to the kickdown, because it would have had, anyways, maybe it doesn't need that, but feels like it pulls back just the same, so not really too worried about it at the moment. I think it's got pretty good return. It's got great return on it. There's still a spring down in there, so I think that must have been part of the kickdown and part of the automatic transmission aspect of the car, so I'm going to leave that out. I'm going to get those 4 nuts mounted down, hook the fuel line back up. I got to change a little connector for this to fit back on there for the choke, but well, all in all, I'm just about there. So. All right, I think I got her all set up. I'm gonna go get a little bit of fuel, pour some in the carb just to get it wet so it's ready to roll, and then we'll try firing it up and see if it's gonna run better. And then after that, check timing, turn it up to like 14, 15 degrees, somewhere it's gonna wake it up a little bit. I gotta do the choke connector still. I'm gonna cut out that old gray, or the new gray one, I suppose, and put just a inline, something a little cleaner than what's there now. I'll get to that in a minute. So I think test fire is in order, see if it's gonna run. Maybe get some fuel and go from there. All right, so I went and got the smallest gas can I own. You know how it goes. It was just the only empty one. And then I used the full one to put just a little bit of fuel in it. I don't know. I didn't have an empty plastic bottle. This seemed like the next best solution. So we'll see. Just in case I'm about to spill it everywhere. Put this here, and I'll catch my dribbles. I'll gently pour some while I hold open the throttle hole, and oh, I gotta hook up the throttle cable still. Ha! Silly me. I know it's in there. Cool. There's some fuel. This out of the way. Throttle cable right here. Hook that up. That's going to be needed probably, maybe, somewhat. And hook that in here. All right. Have to check that we're getting full throttle operation there, but I think we're going to be pretty close. Oops. Looks like it'll give me full throttle. I'm gonna try it in a second here. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just set this on top for now, in case we get a little backfire on it. Keep her contained inside. And where's the nut? Right here. Stuck them to the camera. Cool. Next. It's a good magnet. All right. Cool. Let's see what's gonna go. Greasy hands. Not much vacuum there. Vacuum under throttle, so that's good. Let's see. It's snappier, that's for sure. No fuel leaks. Dry. Dry. Cool. New carb is on. I think I got the tuning figured out. It's not the most responsive RPM gauge, but I'm sitting around 700 for a curb idle, which is what is ideal for this set. Let's do this real fast here if I can do it. I think we're good. So I'll take it for a test drive now and see, but I think it's pretty much spot on. I don't find any leaks. I changed a couple of vacuum lines that are just there and made sure everything was fresh and clean. So let's go for a little rip. Well, test drive was ultimately successful. It runs a lot better than it did. The idle, I'm still questioning it. I found the low idle adjustment screw. I was having a problem turning it down first. Couldn't figure out why, and turns out my screwdriver was the problem. It fit the low idle adjustment screw, but what you couldn't see is when you were sitting on that low idle screw, right behind it was the stud that the carb bolts down onto the intake with. And my flat blade was sitting on top of that stud when I was trying to turn and back that screw out. So initially I got a few turns and then it just dead stopped. And it felt like it hit a lock or something where it couldn't go out any further, like the screw wasn't meant to back out. So I didn't force it and it stopped. Checked it out. High idle, couldn't figure. So I got the carb on last night. I was gonna do an update video right at the end there, but the battery on the GoPro died, as it always continues to do. So today, came out here, tried to start it, didn't want to start. The choke wasn't working quite right, so made some adjustments. I think it's grabbing now. The last night when I went for the test drive, I had a problem because I've had a mouse issue in this car. It's been a pain. Been trying to track it down for a while, and I keep cleaning this and cleaning that and cleaning this and cleaning that and again. Today I went full ham. I tore the dash out, I tore the seats out, tore the back seats out, tore the back panels out, tore the carpet out, tore the console out, ended up ripping out all the bits of insulation on the back of the carpet, behind every panel, behind all the hidden spaces that the mice were taking and using as nesting material. So car's going to be louder, it's going to be hotter, it's going to be colder, depending. But at least there's no nesting left for them. Fingers crossed that's the last of the problem and they just move on to something else, but I don't know. So we're just about to try for a cold start now. I think it should be cooled off enough to... There's no heat in there now. Very little heat. No different than sitting in the sun. So we're going to try starting it and see if it fires up with one pump. Hopefully so. Let's see what we got. Put you right here so you can enjoy the show. Decent. And as the RPM, or as the engine warms up, base RPM will drop, so that's good. It started up just beautifully. Right on. We're gonna play with the timing a wee bit also and push it to the limit here. So just going down the road and back here just to give it a kind of a little street drive. See what it's all about. Should be louder. Should be a lot louder. All right. So the carburetor is in. It's pretty dialed in at this point. It was working really good. Didn't really take any video of it. However, after I was done with the carb, I took it for a test drive and I was really frustrated because I've been chasing a problem in this car for a little while now, and it was mouse. At least one living in here at some point. Made a disaster of the interior of the car. When I would drive and get some speed going, the air blowing through the vent, I would get nesting material blowing into the car through the duct. So I took the whole car apart, the interior, I ripped out everything and I cleaned it all out. I sanitized it with a steamer. Actually, I don't see any evidence right now under the hood, which is awesome. But I still think there's a little bit of nesting material in the airbox. And I didn't want to rip the airbox apart too far because I was worried I might crack or break something. So I just made myself like a big spray wand that I'm going to use with the air compressor. So tonight I'm going to get that done. So hopefully blast out the rest of it, hit it with the shop vac one more time. I guess there's still a little bit of poops up there. I don't know what to do about that. What keeps mice out of a car? Anyway, okay, I'm gonna get it set up and we'll see if this works. Got a 1/4 inch little socket here. I'm gonna take out the blower motor because that's kind of the easiest way. That's the easiest way to get where I gotta get for this thing. Okay, blower motor's out. I've had this thing out already earlier. Let's have a look at the problem area. Alright, so what I'm thinking the issue is, inside the housing here, this might be challenging to see. I'll do my best here though. The GoPro's in the way of the light, I think. I figure at the back of that housing, I've got some kind of nest going on. You can see the damper opening, closing, but it looks to me like there's some nesting material. Hopefully I can knock it all out with this little thing I've created, and it would be wonderful if I didn't have any more stuff blowing into the car once I start driving. So pretty simple what I did. Let me grab it and show you. So I started with, I got a chunk of 5/16 brake line, fuel line, whatever. This is that nickel copper stuff that's super handy. And I grabbed a union. It's an air fitting. This would let you thread 2 females together or something like that. I put a flare on the end. So now this nut fits on that line and won't slip past the flare. Then when I get my male fitting and thread it on here, what it does is it kind of puts everybody together and holds them in place. So now I have a glorified blow gun that I can bend and twist and turn in the direction I want. And the biggest thing here is I got a large volume of air. Because it goes right onto the air line, there's no restriction. Where the little sprayer nozzle I have, internally it's so small, it just doesn't move enough volume of air to do much of anything. So I think this is going to definitely be better. I'm going to pre-bend it so it's ready to go, and then I'll stand back and stick it inside and shoot it up and see what happens. But be a little bit loud probably with the compressor going, but let's see if we can get some magic happening here. All right, we're gonna see what happens here, the first test. All right, a lot of that was the foam sealant there. Looks like it's okay. I'm going to go to the very back of the cavity now. This is where I think there's quite a bit of a nest back in the back corner. Just trying to be gentle because the heater core is back there. I don't want to force my way through and break something. I should take the resistor out of the way. How about I do that now? Let's sneak this thing in. We're definitely into something back there now. Let's see what pops out. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Well, it's a lot of leaves and whatnot, so that I believe would easily get in there on its own. Could it have been nesting material? Probably. I mean, there was some poop in there too that I saw flying through, so we'll do that a few more times, try to flush it out. I'll get the shop vac and try to clean it out, and then I gotta look in the car and see how much of that stuff just went inside. Hopefully nothing. I've been using the radio on full volume, just playing static, trying to deter anything from going back in there, because I take this thing tomorrow? No, day after tomorrow to Niagara Falls for the Chevette Meet out that way, so I definitely don't want another critter hitching a ride. They already do enough damage, forget the smell, so. All right, shop vac time. Looking inside the car, I think we're gonna go into the footwell there, because that seems to be the biggest culprit for stuff. So we can get this set up. I'm gonna go in here with that nozzle. Let's just see where that duct goes and how I can get into it. Turns pretty steep right away, goes right up back. Nice thing about this brake line is you can bend it and go where you want to go. There, it's in now. Alright, we'll have a look from under the hood while I spray now. Alright, so that was all the vents. What I'll probably do now is play with a few of the positions of the dampers and whatnot and blow air back through just to make sure that I kind of got everything I could. I want to make the best of this time I have here to try to clean this sucker out. I mean, I can see right into the bottom of the air box, so maybe I should try to shoot air in and down and that way it can push out anything else that might be inside. Again, do my best, right? Like, or that might be part of the intake up top here, but regardless, I want to try to get everything out of here that I can, because I'm just so over this problem. It's really making me crazy. I had the whole car stripped apart. Like, it was just metal inside. So alrighty, let's shoot some more vents, and fingers crossed that's the end of the game. Alright, I don't know if you can see it blowing around on the ground now, but the biggest nest I found, well, not the biggest, that's a lie. The most nesting I found today was actually inside the hood structure. When I was standing here putting the blower motor back in, I could smell it, and I thought, oh, I should try the skin of the hood. And I stuck the nozzle in here, then in here, made it all the way through, and it blew out a huge wad of mouse nest. So just nasty stuff. Now I'm going to vacuum the inside of the car one last time. It's actually not that bad. I started the car, turned the blower on, had nothing coming through the vents. First time in a long time, so let's hope it stays that way. I'm gonna leave the radio in the car because, for now, anyways, got a couple of little poops to clean up here, and hopefully that's gonna be the end of this madness. I'd be really happy if I don't have this problem again, but we'll see. Let's see if I can find some pictures here of what I did, and then you guys will know kind of what I was up against. Alright, we'll start at the beginning, I guess. Oh, itchy. There we go. So I had the, that's the rear trunk panel, the back seat out. Looks like the dash pad's out. Then I was looking at the carpet. How about we go full screen? That's a better idea. There's the rear panels out. Carpet out. There's the front floor pan. It's not in terrible shape. A few little holes in it, but nothing significant. Nothing to worry about right now, so. Yeah, that's the whole inside of the car there. Looking at the wheel arches. There's a few holes, but nothing too crazy. I ripped out all the foam, and then I went and I fixed. There's a missing piece of metal on the center console for the shifter there. When I grafted it in from the other car, it was already missing, so I just goobered it up and put it together, and then, let's see, cleaned the carpet. Got her ready to rock. Put it all back together. So, it's, at least it's been sanitized. That was the big thing, because it was stinky. But one more vacuum, and I think we'll be all right. Fired right up. Idle was still high. Idle stays high longer than what I'd like, so I can probably kick that down a little bit, but I had to drive it a little bit first, let everything kind of break in with that carb, and just make sure that it's going to stay where I like it, and then it's just a matter of a flat blade to adjust it. So I think we're on the home stretch here. Gotta wash it, that's the big thing. It's filthy. It's been sitting here with all this dirt and dust blowing around. Every time I'm in here it makes dirt and dust, so like you could see it. Anyways, take care of that. And that's about that, so. Bright and early, good morning. Not really bright yet, but it will be. Today is the day of the Niagara Falls Chevette Meet. So, I finished washing the car late last night. I cleaned the inside, the outside. I see no more evidence of mice. I'm really excited about that. We're just about to hit the road, so I think a little montage is in order. A nice little cruise up here. We're gonna take the slow route. In about an hour or so from now, I'm gonna meet up with my buddy with another one of these cars naturally, and I think we're gonna do a little tandem cruising the rest of the way up there, so enjoy the ride.